All right, we're recording. So.
You can edit this part, right?
Yeah, I think. Or if I start the video, I'll like fast forward it and pause it to where we're gonna pick up. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna think of my opener real fast. It's my communications background, you know. If you laugh, it's okay. We'll just start over.
Okay.
All right, ready? Should I say coming to you from Jules Plangier Center?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to the Jules Plangier Center on the campus of Monmouth University. My name is Steve Bazaz. I am joined by Kerry Park. Kerry is here to talk to us about her experience as a teacher, but her experience is unique because she spent 2 years as a teacher in China. So first, Kerry, why don't you tell us where you're originally from and where you went to school?
Okay. I was born in Queens, New York, and I moved to New Jersey when I was about 6 years old. And I grew up in Old Bridge Township, went to Old Bridge High School, and then I went to Kutztown University in Pennsylvania. And then about 2 months after I graduated, I got on a plane and I flew to Yantai, China, and that was the first time I ever left the country.
Tell me about how that opportunity came about to actually teach in China, and what exactly made you want to do it, and what gave you the courage to go and do it.
I just wanted to go somewhere as far away as possible, and I looked on a map and China was really far away. And my university has a sister school with a university where I was living called Yantai University. So they send teachers and students back and forth, and my friend, who's a year older than me, was teaching at Yantai University. And I said, I really want to come to China, how can I get there? And she said, well, my university's not hiring, but another university in my city is. And I emailed them and had a little Skype interview, and then the next thing I know, I had a visa and I was going over to China.
So you taught English at the university level in China. What university is that?
Well, first I taught at Ludong University, and I was teaching the public English department, which means non-English majors. So their level was pretty low. And then I switched to Shandong Institute of Business and Technology,
Wow.
where I was teaching English majors. So they had a really good comprehension of English.
Okay. So tell me this, your plane lands in China, you're there for the first time, you're out of the country for the first time. Did you go through any culture shock yourself as a teacher?
Definitely. I was jet lagged and tired. They picked me up from the airport and they dropped me off in a dirty apartment, and that was it. They left me there, and maybe 3 or 4 hours later a student came by to take me shopping and get the things that I needed, but I didn't even have Chinese money at the time, so I had to borrow money from this random Chinese girl. And I'll never forget it because we took the bus to get to the downtown area for shopping, and it was a Saturday, and there's 1.3 billion people in China and about 7 million people in the city I was living in. So the first day I get there, I'm piled onto a really crowded bus with people's armpits in my face and pushing, and it was just, I was really regretting my decision, but stuck it out. And it was worth it.
Any good shopping stores in China?
Well, I lived in a really small city. Even though there's 7 million people, it's considered a small city.
Wow. In
China. So the shopping was really Chinese stores, nothing foreign, all Chinese.
Okay. When did you have that moment where it all made sense to you that this is why I'm here? And it was kind of like an aha moment, like this feels good that I'm here doing this.
In my city, I had a really good foreign expat community, and everyone was about the same age as me, and we all had the same interests: traveling, meeting new people, teaching. So that group of people that I met really made me want to stay and learn more about China.
All right, paint us a picture of your classroom in China. is there anything similar to the U.S., differences in the U.S.? What was your classroom like?
Okay, the first thing I noticed when I first got there was the class size. My first year I was teaching classes of up to 70 students, and then the next year I was teaching classes of 10 students, so you really don't know what to expect in the classroom. The students really respect their teachers. Their teachers are like the know-all source of information. Everything they say must be correct because they're the teacher and they know more than you. Even though some of my students were the same age as me, they looked at me as this person of more information and they should respect me.
Mm. And along the lines of respect for the teacher, I know something that you mentioned was anytime they had an answer to a question, they would stand up and say their answer, and then until you acknowledged them and said thank you, they would say standing up.
Right. And even if I started talking to a different student, they would still just be standing there kind of waiting, and I had to say, okay, you can sit down now, thank you.
All right, so something else you mentioned to me was counting and how they count differently and their hand symbols are different for numbers. Can you go through a couple different symbols for a hand?
Would you like me to say them in English or in Chinese?
Oh, wow. I guess say them in Chinese.
Okay. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Which basically is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So even if you have a Chinese ESL student in your class and you're trying to use nonverbal cues like that, if you go to them 6, they'll see this and they think this is 16, like this is 10 and,
okay.
Or 15, I'm sorry.
And that's something as a teacher that you might need to know if you have an ESL student in your classroom. You might need to know that certain hand symbols, and especially when it comes to numbers, might be different.
Right.
Last thing that you mentioned to me was, or a couple things, plagiarism is rampant at the university level. Why don't you articulate that to us about plagiarism?
Okay. There's no real rules over there about plagiarizing, and they just don't cite any of their sources, and they think it's okay to go on the internet and copy an entire paper. So I had some writing courses, and their final exam was to do an article summary. And I gave them the article, and then I got papers back where literally the entire thing was copied from the internet. And to them, that's not a big deal, stealing other people's information. As far as coursework goes, that's not something that they pay attention to. It's okay for them to do that. They just want to get through the work and get it done as quick as possible.
I know something like that happened here in the U.S. at Great Monmouth University. You could be expelled or suspended or what have you, thrown out of school for something. So that's something very serious here in the U.S. That's a little more lenient in China. Last thing I'll ask you is any cultural differences within the classroom that you notice. I know something that you explained to me earlier. Why don't you explain that to everyone? If somebody was, let's say somebody was late to class.
Okay, yeah. If somebody is late to class, they will knock on the door and they will say, "Teacher, is it okay if I enter?" And if I say yes, they can come in and sit down. If I say no, they would actually stand there in the hallway and wait until I told them they're allowed to come in.
Wow. And that's, again, more of the respect thing as well, about the teacher being the most respected figure in the room. And here, that could almost be looked at as even more disrupting, because not only are you late, now you're also interrupting my class to ask me if I can come in.
And another thing is they really like rote memorization. They like to repeat everything, and that's how they learn. So always rote memorization and things like that.
Carrie, that's about it. We are out of time. I appreciate you taking the time out to do the interview. I'm sure you had quite a wonderful experience in China, and I thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
再见。
Let's see.
Do you want to like go back and redo any parts? And, like, I don't know how good you are at editing or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that probably